rubber band. Just in case somebody accidentally pushes off. You don't want that.
How are we all doing today, folks?
Good.
Good. My name's Maverick. I'm joined up here by Clay. This will be our Canon firing demonstration. To start off, though, we're both currently wearing the United States Army's dress uniform of the 1880s. A little more specifically, if you notice right here on our helmet, the number 23. Now, the reason why that is because we're representing soldiers from the 23rd Infantry Regiment that have been stationed here at Fort Mackinaw from 1884 to 1890. And in this point in time, Fort Mackinaw isn't really serving any military purpose. It's serving as the headquarters of America's second national park that have been on Mackinac Island from 1875 to 1895. Now, in theory, though, the soldiers are the caretakers of that national park. So they're doing things like, obviously, marksmanship training, like I talked about in the rifle demonstration. But they'd also be doing things like guard duty, which is just guarding the fort, and then also fatigue duty, which is just manual labor and chores. Now, they'd also be doing another thing, which is firing off salute shots, just like we're about to do for you folks in just a few minutes. Now, a salute shot is just a blank charge that we fire for ceremonious reasons, mainly for the raising of the flag in the morning, to mark the start of the soldier's workday, and then also for the lowering of the flag in the evening to mark the end of a soldier's workday, just like we're doing tonight. Now, they'd also be firing off salute shots for more happier occasions, such as holidays like 4th of July, and then also Decoration Day. What we know today is Memorial Day, and for all of these holidays, they would fire off a national salute. So one shot for each state union. In the 1880s, there was 38 states, so they would fire off 38 shots. They'd also be firing off salute shots for more sadder occasions, such as the passing of the Civil War Ulysses S. Grant. For this, they would fire off a 13-gun salute in the morning. Throughout the day, every half an hour, a normal salute shot. And then at the end of the day, they would fire off a national salute, so again, 38 shots. The cannon they did that with is the same type of cannon we have here. This is an 1841 6-pound smoothbore field gun. It's a very long name, so the soldiers just call it the 6-pounder because it shoots 6-pound cannonballs. Now, the maximum range on this cannon is about 1 mile, so about from here to Round Island out there. But since it's smoothbore, it's not rifled, so there's no grooves inside the barrel to give it a nice spiral, kind of like a football. It's more effective range is about a half mile, so about from here to that white lighthouse out there in the harbor. Now, there was a time, though, in 1887, when salute shots were canceled for the entire country. This upset the citizens down below. They wrote very angrily to a newspaper in St. Ignace saying they'd like salute shots back. And also the fort's commandant at the time, the National Park Superintendent, Captain Greenleaf Goodale, also writes to the War Department saying he would also like salute shots back. So a year later, salute shots were reinstated here at Fort Mackinaw. In honor of all you folks being here today, we're going to live on that tradition and fire one off for you. Now, first thing I'm going to do is put on a glove, place my thumb over this little hole right here called the vent, and that's going to trap all the oxygen inside the cannon, so that way it's safe for Clay to move on to our next step, which is inserting the auger. So what we're doing now is just cleaning out any leftover debris from the last time we fired. My thumb right here helps make it a little bit more safer for Clay, so that way when we're loading in the charge, it doesn't blow up. So the next thing he's going to do is going to take the sponge, which is just a sheep's wool wrapped around the end of a wooden stick. He's going to be dipping it in the bucket of water right there, sending that down the barrel. That's going to be not only extinguishing any fiery embers within the cannon, but it's also going to create a vacuum. So when he pulls it out, you should hear a decent thump sound. There we go. So now it's safe for him to load in the charge, which is about 4 ounces of black powder wrapped in historically inaccurate aluminum foil. Back then they would have used a different type of fabric called muslin cloth. That's a little bit more expensive and also a little bit more flammable, so today we use much safer and cheaper substances. So now that he's put that in the muzzle of the barrel, he's going to use the other end of that stick called a rammer. He's going to run that all the way down to where my thumb is. And once he's done that, step safely behind the wheel. I can remove my thumb and then move on to our next step, which is priming the cannon. And there we go. So now to prime the cannon, Clay is going to take a brass spike called a gunner's pin, and he's going to be sending that down the vent where my thumb was. He's going to be poking a hole in that tinfoil charge so that way the black powder is exposed. That way we can move on to our next step, which is inserting our ignition device. Now the ignition device we'll be using today is called a friction primer. This is just a brass tube with black powder inside of that tube, and at the top is a chemical known as fulminate mercury. Very susceptible to friction. So when he attaches the lanyard to the little loop at the top, pulls it, that'll ignite a spark, making a flame shoot down that tube into the even bigger tube and igniting the black powder. And the cannon will fire. So at this point in time, I am obligated to tell you this is a Canon. It will be loud, so I have to go ahead and cover your ears or take a video, depending on what you find more important. Either way, you've been warned. So now that he's
Cover your ears.
There's only 2 commands left to give, and they are ready, fire! That's the Canon firing demonstration, folks.
Woo! Woo!
So if you have any questions for me or Clay, we'll be up here cleaning the Canon.